All right. Hello and welcome. I appreciate you both taking the time to join me for this conversation, and congratulations to both of you as being selected as our Educators of the Year for Woodland School. So Mrs. DeCarli and Ms. Trainer, congratulations. Obviously, you're here because your students, your colleagues, our parents, administration all feel that you're doing a phenomenal job supporting the kids at Woodland School. So you should be, I'm sure you're proud of that. We're proud of you, and I'm happy to get to know you a little bit better with the rest of our community today. So Mrs. DeCarli, would you start us off? Tell us about yourself and your history here in Warren Township.
Sure. So many years ago, my children attended the Warren Township schools a long time ago, and I was a stay-at-home mom, and I decided to go back to work. I was fortunate enough to get a job in the Warren district. So right now, I have been a paraprofessional for 19 years at Woodland School. I've worked for 3 principals, and I've worked with many amazing teachers.
I learn something new every time I do one of these. I didn't realize that you were a parent here before coming onto the stage.
Yes, my children were at ALT, the middle school. Yep, and I loved the district. Both children had great experiences here.
Excellent. Thank you. And Ms. Trainer, how about you? Tell us about yourself and your role in the district and what brought you here.
Sure. So I currently teach first grade at Woodland, and I've been part of the Warren Township schools for 5 years now. I've taught kindergarten, first grade, and third grade in those 5 years. And before Warren, I had the opportunity to teach kindergarten and first grade in a neighboring district. So when I applied to Warren and got an interview here, I was so excited because my aunt and her children have been a part of the Warren Township schools for many years as well. So it was just exciting to be a part of it too.
And staying with you, Ms. Trainer, what made you go into education in the first place?
That's a funny question, actually, because I can't pinpoint one exact moment or one exact person who has influenced me to become a teacher. I always remember admiring my teachers throughout elementary school and middle school and wanting to help them in as much as I could. I remember playing school at my grandparents' house with all of my younger cousins. And when I was finally old enough to get a job, I started to become a lifeguard, teach swimming lessons, babysitting, a lot of things that revolved around young children. So I knew that whatever path I took moving forward, I needed to involve children in some way. So when it came time for college, I knew that education needed to be that path. And I really can't imagine what else I could possibly be doing if I wasn't teaching. I don't know what it would be. You
found the right place for you.
Yes.
That's great. And Mrs. DeCarli, you kind of talked about this a little bit, but what led you down the road of going into education?
I also always loved working with children. I went to college for elementary education. I graduated and did what most children do at that age. And I was like, I don't want to do that right now. So I went into the corporate world for a few years. And then I quit that, retired from that and started to have a family. And then I went back to working at Warren. And I just find it so rewarding because you see children come in who might be struggling in math or might be struggling with reading, and you have them for 180 days. And you then see the progress and the successes that they have. And I just find that so rewarding. And I also have a little story, a little example, if I could share. Sure. A few years ago at Woodland, I was working with a student who, I'm always in 5th grade, but I was working with this little girl who was in 1st grade, who came to Woodland, and she spoke no English. She came and she had to learn the language. She had so many obstacles. She academically, emotionally, socially, and it was not easy. But every day to work with her and see her progress was so rewarding. And one day towards the end of the year, I was in 5th grade, and she came and found me, and she was with her teacher. And she was so excited because she, for once, read a book on her own, and she wanted to read the book to me. She knew that I was going to share that excitement with her and be so proud of her. So we went in another room, and she read the book, and she was beaming. And just by chance, Mr. Heaney was walking by, and he had his camera with him. And he came in to say, "What is going on?" And we told him. And of course, he took a picture. And that picture is now in our conference room at Woodland. And every once in a while, I go in there when I'm in the office and I just look at that and I see her face, I see her smile, and that reminds me of why I went into education.
Well, that's a beautiful story, and hard to top. Maybe we should end things here and just move on. But I mean, my next question for you might be the same answer, which is, and as a paraprofessional, you work with students with all kinds of challenges of academic, physical, social, emotional, whatever it might be. What's an area of success that you've experienced with your students, especially over these last few years? What makes you proud about your work as a paraprofessional?
Right. And it's true. I every year I have a different situation, whether it's working with a student who has a 504 or an IEP, or just being in the classroom supporting many children. An area of success for me, though, would be the bonds that I build with the children, the relationships that I make with them throughout the year. I am in a classroom for everybody. In fact, the whole grade, everybody in the grade knows that they can come to me. I feel like in my past experiences, kids come from all different backgrounds. They might come to school. There might be something going on at home. I want them to feel safe here. I want them to feel loved. I want them to come for their education, but more importantly, to feel like they belong here and that their time here is safe. I see them when they're happy. I travel with them throughout the day in 5th grade. So I see them when they're happy, when they're sad, when they're failing, when they're succeeding. And I just want them to know that I'm with that, that I care about them. And another thing that I'm proud of is that the students that I've been with who keep in touch with me, amazing. I have one student who emailed me every time she got into a college this year. Oh. And you're going to be the first person that I tell which one I choose. And that to me is a success. When my students from the past think about me and want to include me in their lives now. And I find that so special.
Very, very nice. For sure. And especially with how much time has passed from the time you were working with them directly to them applying to colleges.
So much so. Sometimes they contact me and I'm like, wait, let me think for a minute. But I know that I made an impact on them. And they think back to their time at Woodland. Maybe a song reminded them of Woodland, or a story, or something reminds them of Woodland. And they contact me and they tell me.
That's nice. And Ms. Trainer, how about you? So you've been in a couple of different grade levels as well in your time here. What's an area of success that you've had with your students and something that makes you proud?
Sure. I think the biggest area of success that I'd like to highlight is similar to Ms. DeCarly, is the classroom community that I build with my students each year. My goal is first and foremost to make the classroom welcoming, to make the students feel safe and excited to come to school. And number one, that they are loved every time they walk in this door. Once all of those things are established, then we can start the true learning. And I think that this year, out of any of the years, we've really focused on creating that positivity and that classroom community whether through morning meeting or stories that we're reading together. And another thing that's new this year is these first graders, we have to remember, this is their first full day of school. They didn't have full days last year. So I'm just so excited for them that they have this longer school day, and they are incredibly excited to experience everything that has to do with school, pajama days, parties, all of these great things that we get to do together. They're just so excited. So I'm most proud of the kindness and the positivity that I see between them. And I really think that comes from the relationships that we build together. I would consider myself very smiley and bubbly and positive on a normal basis. So when I see that echoed in my students, I just can't help but be proud of them for what they've accomplished so far, and proud of myself for inspiring them to be that way.
Great. And staying with you, Ms. Trainer, what's something you think the general public should know about schools and education, maybe that they're not aware of? What's it really like? What's going on that you think they should know about?
Sure. I think something that would be interesting to know about is that educating children, especially in Warren here, is not just the classroom teacher. It is truly a team effort between everyone in this school. Not only is the classroom teacher teaching academics every day, but we're also in contact with countless other educators to make those decisions specifically for those children in that class. We work together in grade level teams. We work with the ASAP teachers, the specialists, related services, the school counselor, the office staff, the nurse, which I call so many times throughout the day. We are really working together to make the best possible environment for these students. And I think that's something that we ought to remember. The old adage, it takes a village, right? I think out of any of the years, this definitely takes a village. And in Warren, this is a nod to Warren. I've never experienced anything like this in other districts before, where everyone is so willing to help and is so willing to have your back and support you in any way that they can. So I think just knowing that every child has a complete team around them to support their education in so many ways is amazing.
Yes. And Ms. DeCarlo, you kind of talked about, you kind of weave back and forth with some of these things as you shared some stories, but what about you? What do you think the general public should know about what's going on in schools right now?
I personally would want the public to know that the teachers and the staff in Warren are doing everything in their power to motivate and educate their children through a pandemic. I've worked here for 19 years. This is the most trying this year and last year, and I can't express enough how wonderful the teachers are. They focus on their education, but more importantly, their social and emotional needs for now. And what I love that we started last year are the morning meetings. I find that that's the favorite part of our day in fifth grade. We love it. They come in, they get unpacked, they sit right down, they pull up the slide for the day, start typing their feelings out, and then we have our therapy session. And we all go around the room. We talk about our struggles, our strengths. They help each other. They give each other advice. They say what they need. And that morning meeting is what we find is the favorite part of our day.
Nice. What do you hope that the students will remember, maybe when they're applying to those colleges, about their time working with you, Mrs. DeCarlo, when they think back?
Well, what I want each student to know, and I think they do, is how much I genuinely cared about them and was there for them while they were at Woodland School. I want them to look back, maybe even while they're filling out some of their college applications, and think about the times that we were together. I want them to remember the laughs, the tears, the failures, the successes, and that while we were together for that year, we were a family. And that, to me, is what I want the students to remember. And I think they do, because sometimes I'm honored when they contact me and they want me to be the first person to know something, or they want to share something with me, or they remember a time where we were together and something, they were sad, and they remember, and they want to, and they bring it up again so many years later to thank me that I helped them get through it. And those are just so many situations that I see they take with them, and that is very meaningful to me.
Absolutely. And Ms. Trainer, how about you? What do you want your little ones to remember down the road about their time with you?
Sure. When my students think back to their education at Woodland, and specifically their time in first grade or kindergarten or third grade with me, I really hope that they remember my warmth and positivity and patience while they were in my classroom. Even when things got tough, I hope that they remember that I was always there for them and we could do anything together. I hope that they think back to doing Go Noodle dances together and my silly voices while reading Piggy and Gerald, which is our favorite. And I just hope that they remember that no matter what was going on, whether we were last year hybrid, virtual, all of the things that we've endured the last year or so, that I was always there for them and will always be there for them. I always tell my students, you were my student this year, so now you're my student forever. And it just kind of reminds them that they have one more person that they can count on in their life. So I hope that they remember that.
Well, I mean, from this last 15 minutes or so, I'm sure based on the stories and the enthusiasm you both have shared, that all of your students know that you care about them and are there for them. And certainly that extends beyond your immediate students, because I think those sorts of things overflow in the hallways and affect the entire school. So I know it's really hard to take 20 minutes away from the very small windows of time you get to yourself during the day. So I appreciate you doing that. It's been really great chatting and learning a little bit more about you and sharing your stories with the wider community. And again, congratulations on being selected to represent Woodland School with this honor. Very well deserved. And I appreciate your time. Thank you both so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.